Hello, IGN. I'm Michael Waldron. I'm the head writer of the Loki series.
My name's Wumi Masaku, and I play Hunter B-15.
I'm Gugu Mbata Raw, and I play Ravonna Renslayer in Loki.
Hi, I'm Owen Wilson, and I am playing the character of Mobius in the new Marvel series Loki.
There are many people who are excited to see you join the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'd love to hear, what was it that wowed you about Marvel and made you want to be a part of the Loki show?
Well, I think just sort of, Pixar, Marvel just has kind of created this body of work that people really love and that connects not just with a big audience, but also critically. So the chance to be a part of something that had that potential was exciting.
I'm Agent Mobius, by the way. How long have you been here? I don't know, it's hard to say. Time passes differently here in the TVA. What does that mean? You'll catch up.
Your character, Agent Mobius, is the foil for Loki, and your characters are doing this really fun dance of both trying to be 2 steps or 10 steps ahead of each other. So how do you find the balance of playing a character who's smart enough to know he can't trust Loki, but he still has reasons to justify working with him?
I think that's sort of the challenge in dealing with the God of Mischief, is trying to sort of manipulate him into following my agenda. And that's not easy to do with someone who's as mercurial and as flighty and intelligent as Loki is.
On behalf of the Time Variance Authority, I hereby arrest you for crimes against the sacred timeline. Hands up. You're coming with us.
Yeah, we're all different sides of the TVA. I am someone, I have like a military esque-ness about me. So it's like I have to do what I'm told. I'm told by, this is the rule books, this is what I do, this is my job, and I'll do it expertly. And everything else just feels like this spectrum of like ideas and thoughts and opinions and morals, and it's like, it's just not her.
This variant is insubordinate, stubborn, unpredictable.
He's doing great.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because Renslayer does have a lot on her plate. She does have a lot of responsibility. She keeps a lot of secrets. That's part of her job as a high status judge. And I think that's sort of one of the interesting questions of the show is anybody ever completely good? Is anybody ever completely bad? And I think, everybody sort of is on the spectrum, and real human characters are flawed. And I think, she has to make some difficult choices.
It's fine not to trust Mobius. I think that it's not that there's sort of a cynicism to Mobius, but he has seen a lot and has an understanding of people's natures and their foibles that makes him take everything with a grain of salt.
The hard thing is that we don't know who's good, who's bad, who's good, who's bad. Like, really, ever. Like, is Loki a hero or is he a villain? We don't know.
So Loki gets a profound wake-up call when he, 1, sees that drawer full of Infinity Stone paperweights, and 2, when he sees his own death. So can you talk about how you created these awesome, heavy moments and how they really change Loki's entire trajectory?
Those were both moments that we actually knew we wanted to have early on in the conceptualization of the show and early on in the writer's room. We wanted to show a drawer full of Infinity Stones like they were paper clips. 1, just to highlight how formidable the TVA in fact actually is. And 2, to really signal that we're in a new era now. The Infinity Saga is the past. This is the future. And then, for Loki to see how his life and death plays out. We talked about in Toy Story when Buzz Lightyear finally learns and comes to grips with the fact that he is, in fact, a toy. And he sees that commercial. Just what a humbling experience that is. And that's the thing that can finally take the bluster out of you, realizing, wow, I was never actually in control. the way that I thought I was. And so that's why we wanted Loki to see that. And I think we also we knew it'd be really emotional, impactful, and that Tom would do a great job with it.
So I'd love for you to explain to me how the sacred timeline works, because we've heard about the multiverse before, but in this show, it seems like there is no multiverse. Like, it's just one universe with one timeline, and if it ever does branch, the TVA purges everything else. So is that right?
According to the TVA, yes.
According to the TVA.
Correct.
Okay, I'll have to watch for more information on that, I can tell.
I mean, I think that that's actually the cool thing about the show, is that the audience knows as much as Loki does. And he's in the dark, and so are we. We're sort of learning as we go. What is all this stuff? Can we even believe what we're being told? And we'll have to go on the adventure to find out.
So after watching WandaVision and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we saw those shows transform their characters, right? Wanda became the Scarlet Witch, Sam became Captain America. How would you say this show is transforming Loki?
I mean, I can say how the first episode at least starts the process of Loki, or the effect it has, is it forces him to self-reflect in a way that he's probably never done before. Mobius is patient with him, which nobody ever is, and really asks questions that make Loki contemplate who he is, which is just not something he's very good at or very used to. And so I think that's at least the transformation of the pilot.
So also in the show, the TVA, it's said that they're run by these three, Loki calls them space lizards, like they maintain the sacred timeline. And there's this ongoing question of whether everything in the universe is predetermined, or if you can choose your own path and you have free will. So where do you personally fall on that debate?
It's a hard one. I was raised Christian, and so I have very much always said God's will, but then also know that I have free will too. I don't know. I've always been someone who, I think I use it in times of comfort. So God's will being like, when it's my time, it's my time. And that is comforting to me. But also in my everyday, I feel like I have complete autonomy. The big question is Judas actually bad? Because he needed to do that. He needed to sell out Jesus, right? Because Jesus needed to be crucified, right? For him to rise from the dead. So is it all predetermined? Is he bad? Or did he just do what he was meant to do? It's a big question. It's huge. Mind-blowing, right? Your mind's blown.
Your character, Ravonna Renslayer, has a long history in the comics, and she's known as Terminatrix, I believe, and she has this relationship with the time-traveling villain Kang the Conqueror, who's going to be in a movie eventually. So knowing your character has all that history in the comics, does that affect how you play the character in the show?
Well, essentially, the way it was pitched to me from Kate Herron, our director, and Kevin Wright, our producer, is that the Renslayer that we see in Loki is more of an origin story for Renslayer, in the comics. So it sort of predates a lot of the stuff that people know and love from the comics, which is kind of cool in a way, because it sort of gave me a bit more freedom to sort of start at square one and create something, knowing that there's lots of potential for her to go, obviously, in many other directions.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe is an ongoing story with characters making appearances in other Marvel movies and TV shows. So would you like to play Agent Mobius again in other Marvel projects?
Yeah, it was, I think that what made me so kind of excited about this was when the director Kate first kind of pitched me on the series and, the idea. And so I think it's always sort of dependent on, if people felt that there was another, interesting idea and story to explore.
He stabbed people in the back 50 times. Why never do it again?